The COVID-19 pandemic drastically altered the trajectory of many artists' careers, particularly those on the rise or at pivotal moments in their journeys. In this video, we look at 10 artists whose careers were impacted by COVID. Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga's Chromatica was one of the most anticipated albums of 2020, marking a return to her dance pop roots. The lead single Stupid Love had fans buzzing, but the era really took off with Rain On Me, her powerhouse duet with Ariana Grande, which became a global hit and even won a Grammy. However, Gaga's vision for Chromatica as a high-energy celebratory experience was cut short by the pandemic. Her plans for a massive stadium tour, elaborate music videos, and immersive fan experiences were scrapped or postponed. While the album debuted on #1 on the Billboard 200 and received critical acclaim, her inability to promote it to its fullest potential left fans wondering how much bigger the era could have been. Despite the setback, Gaga managed to create an emotional connection with fans through Chromatica Ball in 2022. But it felt like a delayed celebration rather than the immediate explosion it was meant to be. The Pussycat Dolls. After nearly a decade away, the Pussycat Dolls announced their highly anticipated comeback in 2019. Their reunion single React dropped in early 2020, bringing their signature sexy style and dynamic choreography back to the spotlight. Fans were excited to see the group together again, and plans for a global reunion tour were in full swing. However, COVID-19 completely shut down their momentum. Lockdowns forced the tour to be postponed indefinitely, and the group's comeback lost steam. Internal disputes and management issues only added to the delay, ultimately leading to their breakup in 2022. While React remains a fan favorite, the group's reunion will always feel like a case of what could have been had the pandemic not interfered. Jessie Reyes. Canadian singer Jessie Reyes was on the brink of stardom in early 2022. Her debut album Before Love Came to Kill Us was released in March 27, just as the global lockdowns took effect. Jessie had spent years building a loyal fan base through collaborations with artists like Eminem and Calvin Harris, and was finally stepping into her own as a solo artist. The pandemic derailed her plans. The promotional tour for the album had to be cancelled, and her chance to perform live and connect with new audiences disappeared overnight. While the album received critical acclaim and showcased her great voice, it didn't achieve commercial success, selling 27,000 album equivalent units in its first week. I think the album would have done better. There was no pandemic. Katy Perry. Katy Perry's Smile era faced significant changes due to the pandemic. The album, released in August 2020, was meant to be a triumphant return to her pop roots after the lukewarm reception of 2017's Witness. However, promoting an album during a global pandemic proved to be nearly impossible. The lack of live performances, festivals, or in-person interviews made it difficult for Katy to connect with her fans in the way she traditionally did. Singles like Daisies and Smile failed to make a splash on the charts, and while the album was heartfelt and optimistic, it felt like it arrived at the wrong time. I think Harley's in Hawaii would have been at least a top 10 hit. There was no pandemic. Additionally, Katy's pregnancy with her first child during the same period added another layer of complexity to the promotional cycle. Despite these setbacks, Smile is remembered as a good album. Normani. When Normani dropped Motivation in summer of 2019, it seemed like her career was poised to explode. The song was co-written by Ariana Grande and showcased Normani's vocals and dancing ability. The music video was iconic, referencing the early 2000s. It was filled with Y2K nostalgia and jaw-dropping choreography, and quickly became a viral sensation. While the song did decently on the charts, peaking at number 33 on the Billboard Hot 100, many viewed it as a foundation for a breakout era. Unfortunately, the pandemic brought her career to a standstill. Normani was unable to follow up with new music or tour to build up Motivation's buzz. With no live performances or appearances to keep the momentum going, her potential to cement herself as a leading solo artist was interrupted. By the time she returned in 2021 with Wild Side featuring Cardi B, the industry landscape had shifted, and she faced the challenge of re-establishing her presence. She eventually released her album Dopamine in 2024, but her moment had passed, and the album flopped. Selena Gomez. Selena Gomez released her long-awaited album Rare in January 2020, scoring her first Billboard Hot 100 #1 with the vulnerable single Lose You to Love Me. The album was poised to be a triumphant return for Selena, showcasing her growth as an artist. However, the pandemic hit just as she began to promote it, cutting short plans for live performances, interviews, or a potential tour. Adding to the challenges, Selena's Spanish-language EP Revelación dropped in 2021, but the lack of in-person promotion limited its reach. While it earned her first Grammy nomination for Best Latin Pop Album, many felt the momentum she built with Rare and her foray into Latin music didn't receive the full attention it deserved. Niall Horan. Niall Horan's sophomore album Heartbreak Weather was released on March 13, 2020, the exact day many countries began implementing lockdowns. What should have been the album rollout, with live performances, interviews, and tour announcements, instead became a quiet release, overshadowed by global panic. The album was well received by critics, showcasing Niall's growth as a songwriter and an artist. However, the lack of promotion limited its impact, and it didn't achieve the same level of success as its debut, selling 59,000 units in its first week in the US. Niall himself admitted that the album's release during such a chaotic time was heartbreaking, as he never got to fully share it with his fans. Kesha. Kesha's High Road, released in January 2020, was meant to be a comeback to her party pop roots, while still reflecting her growth as an artist. Songs like Raised in Hell had the potential to reignite her chart presence, but the pandemic derailed the plans of a full promotional campaign. Kesha, known for her dynamic live performances and vibrant personality, thrives on interacting with fans in high-energy settings, but COVID took that away. The album didn't gain much traction, and Kesha's visibility in the pop landscape diminished, while she has since continued releasing music and connecting with her loyal fanbase. The pandemic disrupted her momentum, as she could have at least had charting singles from the album. Lizzo. Coming off the massive success of her breakthrough hit Truth Hurts and Good as Hell, Lizzo was on top of the world in 2019. She became a symbol of positivity and self-love, dominating award shows and festivals. Fans were eagerly awaiting her follow-up to 2019's 'Cause I Love You, but the pandemic slowed down her momentum. While she kept fans engaged through social media and online performances, the absence of live concerts and new music during a time when she was at her peak visibility delayed what could have been a seamless transition to her next era. In 2022, she returned with Special and the viral hit About Damn Time, but it took years to get back to the popularity she had before the pandemic. She was embroiled in controversies. 5 Seconds of Summer. 5 Seconds of Summer released Calm in March 2020, just as the world went into lockdown. The album, which showed a more mature and experimental side of the band, was well received by critics and fans. However, the pandemic impacted its commercial performance, with the first week's sales heavily underreported due to a shipping error in the US. The album only debuted on number 62 on the Billboard 200. In the second week, it sold 133,000 units. Known for their electric live shows and close relationship with their fan base, Five Sauce struggled to maintain their visibility during the pandemic, while their album did decent on the charts, as they adapted by engaging with fans through virtual concerts and social media. Calm felt like a missed opportunity. The band has since worked to regain their footing, but the pandemic left a notable impact in their trajectory. Which artists impacted by the pandemic did I miss? Tell me in the comments below.